Introducing Instagram teen accounts, a new way to keep your teen safer as they grow. Like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, sweetie pie, buckle up. Good job.
Or ring the bell on their bike.
Okay, kid, give it a try. Nice.
Or remember their elbow pads.
Knees too, okay? Yep. There you go.
New Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
1-800-Flowers.com knows that a gift is never just a gift. A gift is an expression of everything you feel and helps build more meaningful relationships. 1-800-Flowers takes the pressure off by helping you navigate life's important moments by making it simple to find the perfect gift. From flowers and cookies to cake and chocolate, 1-800-Flowers helps guide you in finding the right gift to say how you feel. To learn more, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/SXM. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/SXM.
What happens when our spirit expands, but our mind, which is part of our body, part of our biology, it hasn't yet come along for the ride, is that any time you begin to do things that are not aligned with who your spirit knows you to be, it feels uncomfortable. You feel a negative emotion because your spirit is like, no, we are out of alignment. This is not who we are, Mamacita. We do not drink a bottle of wine at 9 o'clock at night. We do not scroll on Instagram. That is not who we are because your spirit's a mile down the road waiting for you to catch up. So if you want to know whether or not you are in alignment, the easiest way to know is, how do you feel? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? If you feel bad in this moment, you are out of alignment every single time. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of the show and a new Ask Rach. If y'all are new to the party, an Ask Rach episode is where I answer questions from the audience. They call into a hotline. The number is 737-400-4626, and they leave me a voicemail and they ask me a question, and then I listen to those voicemails and I answer them. I am nobody's expert, just a random chick you know from the internet. So as I always say, take whatever advice feels helpful and ignore anything that doesn't. Let's jump right into today's first question.
Hi, Rach. This is, we'll say Mamacita. I am very intentional about my morning, my fitness, my nutrition, daily. It is something I look forward to every single morning, and I know that you take a lot of pride in your morning routine as well. However, this expires approximately 8 p.m. every night, maybe even 7 p.m., depending on the type of day. And I am looking for a little bit of spectacle, maybe even some emotional breath work, whatever you think could help with this idea of taking that motivation that started in the morning and capping it at night. Specifically with just routine. I can doom scroll. I get really snacky. I start to maybe a bottle of wine with my husband sounds nice, or sometimes it's a glass with just me. But it's one of those things where it affects my next morning, not necessarily on a physical level, because I'm very motivated. I can work out. I can get the nutrition back on track. It's more so an emotional standpoint. I feel low. My energy is low. I notice my hormones are imbalanced. I notice that my just overall mood is kind of crotchety and kind of itchy, if you know what I'm saying, with the B. So I know what I need to do, but by 8 p.m., 7 p.m. even, like I just don't have that in me anymore. And I guess what is something that I could do to avoid that tunnel of doom that gets me going to bed later? It feels really fun and indulgent in the moment, but it feels really terrible the next day. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.
Dear Mamacita, first of all, I love the fake name. And I would like to remind anybody that they can call in and use a fake name. You can ask us to not play your voice at all. I've got a couple here on the list that say, please don't play the voice. So however you would like to ask a question, we will always protect your privacy. But Mamacita, I love this question because I think there are probably a lot of listeners right now who are nodding along with you, who understand exactly what you're talking about. And as usual, I'm going to kind of brain dump on you all the things that I thought of while you were asking the question. So these are in no particular order, but hopefully one of them will be helpful. The first thing that I'm going to say, and this is for everybody, 99% of people in the world, it's probably a different percentage, guys, but just go with me. The vast majority of people on this planet wake up in the morning with the most amount of motivation they are going to have all day. I want you to think of your motivation as an hourglass that is filled with sand. And as you go through the day, your motivation for staying in the right frame of mind, for making the best choices for yourself, it diminishes as the sand falls through the hole. So there's a reason that you've got all the stuff that you need in the morning to do all the things that you want to do. And by evening time, your willpower, and I'm using air quotes, you can't see me, but your willpower is gone. It's not that your willpower is gone, it's that you've used all the willpower you had to make your great choices earlier in the day, and frankly, you're probably tired. And honestly, you're probably a bit stressed by the time you get to the evening, and we want to relax, and we want to unplug, and we want to do things that feel really good. Just be mindful of the fact that as we go through the day and as we get more and more tired, we are less likely to make good choices if those choices are based on willpower and motivation. That is why we don't want any of the good stuff that we're doing to be based on motivation or willpower. We want those things to be based on habit. When something is habitual, when something is so normalized and so regular for you that you do not have to think about it at all, it's just part of your life, when you can make that kind of thing a really good thing for you, you've hit the unlock. Because now it doesn't matter how motivated I am. It doesn't matter what my willpower is. I'm always going to do that thing because it's habit. It's ingrained in who I am. The example I always use, and I know y'all have heard me say it a million times, is brushing your teeth. I do not have to motivate myself to brush my teeth. I do not have to find the willpower to brush my teeth. Brushing my teeth in the morning and at night are just my life. I'm 42. I've been making that choice. As long as I've had teeth in my mouth, I've been brushing my teeth morning and night. It's so normal for me. I don't have to think about it. And I could run a whole list of things in my life, so could you, that you do without thinking. Those are your habits. So the goal for all of us is to make our choices, our great choices, our habits, not our choices. I hope that made sense. Understanding that the reason it sort of all falls off track in the evening is because you're tired and you don't have as much willpower means that we have to make those evening choices something we don't think about. Now let's talk about how we hack the system. I got all kinds of ideas in no particular order. Number one, if you want to have a better nighttime, go to bed earlier. Now, hang with me because I know you're like, I know I need more sleep, but this is the only time I have for myself, la, la, la. No, that's not what I'm saying. Going to bed earlier gives you less time to make bad choices when you are tired. So those of you who are staying up until midnight watching Friends reruns or doom scrolling or hanging out on Netflix or whatever you're doing until midnight, you are literally awake for 3 more hours than I am at night. I am asleep, unless I'm having some perimenopausal weird insomnia. I am asleep at 9 o'clock, which means you have 3 hours where you got to hang on to willpower, where you've got to tell yourself that you're not actually hungry, where you've got to, not make a bad choice in opening that bottle of wine. Like, if you want to make better choices, give yourself guardrails. And one of the best guardrails I know of at night is going to sleep. If I'm asleep, I'm not doom scrolling. If I'm asleep, I'm not snacking. I'm not having wine. I'm not staying up too late. I'm also, added perk, getting the sleep that I need, which is so important, especially for women. They say now women need at least 9 hours, not 8, 9 hours of sleep. And if you are on your period, you need even more. So there's just all kinds of added benefits in your nighttime routine if you go to bed earlier. And maybe some of you are like, I just can't fall asleep. Okay. Have you tried setting yourself up to be asleep by 9? Because if you want to be asleep by 9, that means you are not on any kind of screen after 8 p.m. I know suddenly someone's like, oh, this night just got so boring. No, this night just got so much more aligned with you living in optimum health, with you feeling really good. So for me, that might look like reading is really common. If we're watching something, if Kez and I are watching something, we are really thoughtful about shutting that off so that we can kind of calm our brains down and go to sleep. I do have to make those kinds of choices because I tend to lean toward insomnia. I always have my entire life, and I found that it's gotten a lot worse in the last couple of years because of perimenopause. The easiest thing for me is to just not overstimulate my brain before I go to bed. So that looks like shutting off a screen, reading a book. I always am going to choose nonfiction if I'm trying to calm my brain down. I'm not going to read fiction because then all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and I can't put the book down. So make choices that align with what your body and your mind need to get calm. You mentioned breathing. That's a great idea. Meditation, all of that stuff, if you will do it. It's so easy to listen to something, watch something, read something that's like, do these 5 things. I remember, I love Jay Shetty and I've known him for years. I think y'all are familiar with him, but I give him so much crap when we get together because I'm like, what are you even talking about? If you talk to Jay and you're like, what should I do to have a better nighttime routine? He'll be like, well, meditate. I literally one time he was like, I meditate for like 2.5 hours in the morning. And I can't stop laughing because I'm like, clearly you do not have children and you get to make your own schedule. And that is so amazing for you. I love that for you. But you have to take advice and build your own routine based on what works for you, not what works in some book you read or magazine that you looked at. Really home in on what will make the most sense for you. For me, that looks like reading a book, shutting a screen off, not getting, this is going to sound really dorky, but not daydreaming. I think it will be unsurprising for you to know that my imagination can run pretty wild. And if I start thinking about, for instance, great example, I'm in the midst of writing my new book right now. It's the first time I've written fiction in at least 5 years. So I'm really excited about the work and I'm excited about the characters and it all feels new and shiny. And if I start to dream of the next chapter, the next scene, any of that at night, I will overstimulate my brain like a little kid. I will not be able to shut it off. And then I will be laying in bed at 2 a.m. tweaking out, imagining the scene where this or that happens. So if you know that there are certain things, like if some of you get really triggered by politics, if some of you get really triggered by family drama, if you know that there's stuff like that that's going to spin you out, don't do it. Just don't do it.
When living with cancer, it's important to be informed and know what to expect. But finding the right information can feel overwhelming. That's why UnderstandCancerTogether.com is here to help. We've gathered practical information and resources based on where you are in your cancer journey, so that you can focus on the important conversations and decisions of today. UnderstandCancerTogether.com, helping you navigate life with cancer, one moment at a time.
Imagine what's possible in your business career when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format is available in select business programs and lets you learn at a time and pace that works for you. That means you don't have to put your life on hold while earning your business degree. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
The other thing that's worth mentioning here is this feeling that we have between the choices that we wish we made and the choices that we make. And I would love to, if you'll just let me geek out, I'd love to talk you through what that looks like biologically, what's happening in our brain when we do that. And then I'd also like to talk to you about what happens spiritually when we do that. So we're going to go biological and spiritual. If you'll just hang with me for a minute, I think about this a lot and I find it really fascinating. I legitimately was sitting on the couch this morning having coffee with my husband and talking about this exact thing. Why do we make choices that we know are not the right choices for us? Particularly if you make that choice and then immediately wish you hadn't made it. Have you ever been like, oh, screw it, I'm going to have the cookie. And you take a bite of the cookie. And while you are chewing the first bite, you are mad at yourself for taking the bite. And yet you keep chewing and eat the entire cookie. What is that? It makes no sense. But I am fascinated by it as someone who really struggled with binge eating when I was younger. I'm just like fascinated by what is happening to our bodies, at least to mine, when that goes down. And I found 2 studies that I really appreciate and they just resonate with me. Sometimes you get ideas, you hear something, you read a book and you're like, that's interesting. And then sometimes the same situation happens and you hear something and it's like, dong, like a tuning fork. Like it just makes total sense. These 2 things make total sense to me. Go with me for a minute. There are 3 key parts of the brain. Now, I know obviously there are so many more parts of the brain, you guys, but at the most basic level, you can look this up. There is your brainstem and your cerebellum. That's like, imagine the very base of your brain. This is all going to make sense in a second. This is all going to come together in a minute, I promise. So your brainstem and your cerebellum, that's the base of your brain. Then a little bit further out, you have your limbic system. And then the furthest point out, the sort of like swirly whirlies that are on the outside of the brain, that is your neocortex. Let me explain why this matters. The base of your brain, that brainstem and cerebellum, is what scientists call the lizard brain, the reptilian brain. That most basic part of your brain is the fight or flight response to things, meaning that part of your brain functions like a lizard. That's why they call it reptilian brain. It doesn't have rational thought. It makes decisions based on one and only one viewpoint. Stay alive. That is all your lizard brain is thinking about. Stay alive. It doesn't ask questions. It gets scared easily. That's the base of your brain. Now, incidentally, if I can just geek out for a moment, I learned recently that the brain grew inside of humans from the base out. So it makes sense that the first thing, the base of the brain, is the most basic part. Not rational thought there, not really doing anything but keeping us alive. And if you went back in evolution, that would make sense, right? Because the first brains that would have existed would have been based on very basic, keep us alive kind of stuff. Okay, go a little bit further out, balloon a little bit further out in the brain, and you get the limbic brain. This is the part of our brains that can feel emotion. This is emotion and feeling is in this part of the brain. And the furthest point out in your brain, the swirly, whirly gray matter, that's the neocortex. That is your rational thinking brain. Why does that matter in terms of decision making? I read a book recently that talked about what is happening in our brains biologically when we make a decision we wish we wouldn't have made. And when we make the decision, doesn't matter what it is. It could be something we're consuming, calling that ex, talking back to someone we wish we hadn't. Like, do we just want to pull those words back in our mouth? And as soon as you do it, you're like, oh, why did I do that? That voice, this book was talking about that voice is the argument between your neocortex and your lizard brain. Meaning it is the argument between your highest thinking rational self and your most basic fight or flight. And what happens when Mamacita doom scrolls, has a bottle of wine, starts snacking, is that she is tired and she has less willpower. And so the limbic brain, which is about emotion and feeling, that knows that the wine, that's going to feel really good. And the reptilian brain, which is always going to lean in the direction of what feels good because that keeps us alive. Those things win out. And the moment that they win out, the neocortex, the higher level self, is like, what are you doing? So it is actually sort of these two parts of your brains. You can almost think of it as like your lower self and your higher self having an argument with each other. Because your higher self knew the right choice, but your lower self won out. I find that so fascinating. That's what's happening biologically when we make a decision like that. What's going on spiritually when we make a decision like that? At least according to me. You might totally roll your eyes at how hippie I'm about to become, but I really believe this is true. I talked to you guys about this recently, that when you imagine something more for yourself, something more for your life in any direction, it could be you're going to go back to therapy and healed some childhood trauma, or you want to get yourself to a new level financially so you can take better care of your kids, or you really want to start taking care of your health. It doesn't matter what it is. When you get really excited about a vision you have for the future, and you don't have to get excited for months. Literally, when you have a moment and you're imagining something and like your whole being lights up. If you ever went to a Rise conference and we imagine like a future for ourselves 10 years ahead, those moments, or if you've ever been on vacation, you sort of got to relax and then you started to think about what could be. You went to a retreat, you're in your yoga class, whatever the moment was where you felt really good, you saw a possibility for your life and your freaking heart lit up like the Rockefeller Christmas tree. That moment, I believe that when that happened, your spirit expanded. Your inner being, the part of you that only sees the best in you, that knows what is possible, when you saw that vision, something aligned inside of you and literally your spirit expanded. Now, the interesting thing about your spirit expanding is that just because your spirit expands doesn't mean that your physical body is yet capable of it. Your spirit can see the possibility, but you might not have the skills or resources or abilities or any of the things that you yet need to make that manifest. But your spirit is like, yes, Yes, that is exactly it. That is who you are called to be. That is what is possible for you. And I think that happens when we begin to make decisions where we're living as a better version of ourselves. We see what's possible. We lean in that direction. If you're like Mamacita, she's getting up in the morning. She's feeling really good. Her spirit's going, yes, yes, yes. This is who we are. But by the end of the day, she's tired. She doesn't really have that ability yet. What happens when our spirit expands, but our mind, which is part of our body, part of our biology, it hasn't yet come along for the ride, is that anytime you begin to do things that are not aligned with who your spirit knows you to be, it feels uncomfortable. You feel a negative emotion because your spirit is like, no, we are out of alignment. This is not who we are, Mamacita. We do not drink a bottle of wine at 9 o'clock at night. We do not scroll on Instagram. That is not who we are because your spirit's a mile down the road waiting for you to catch up. So if you want to know whether or not you are in alignment, the easiest way to know is how do you feel? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? If you feel bad in this moment, you are out of alignment every single time. And what happens when we feel bad, at least most of us, when we feel bad, we are going to reach for the thing that makes us feel better. And I don't know about y'all, but having wine with my husband would absolutely make me feel better. Going and having yummy snacks in the kitchen will absolutely make me feel better. Going on Instagram will absolutely make me feel better. Even if I know that those things are not who I want to be, I will choose them because in that moment, they're going to give me gratification. And if we go back over to the biology and what's going on with your brain, you're feeling uncomfortable in your limbic brain because you know that something's off. So the reptile brain's like, hey, let's do something that makes us feel better because if I don't feel good, it probably means I'm about to die. That's literally fight or flight. So it's like, oh, I'll go have some nachos. I'll go eat the leftover chocolate cake because that's going to make me feel good in this moment. All of that to say, that was a whole bunch of brain dump on you for one purpose. When I know why I am making the choices that I don't want to be making, it makes me feel so much more empowered to make the right choices.
When living with cancer, it's important to be informed and know what to expect. But finding the right information can feel overwhelming. That's why UnderstandCancerTogether.com is here to help. We've gathered practical information and resources based on where you are in your cancer journey, so that you can focus on the important conversations and decisions of today. UnderstandCancerTogether.com, helping you navigate life with cancer, one moment at a time.
Imagine what's possible in your business career when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format is available in select business programs and lets you learn at a time and pace that works for you. That means you don't have to put your life on hold while earning your business degree. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
For years and years, I would go, let's say, binge eat at night, and I would be so hateful to myself. I would say the ugliest things. I would be so mean because I thought I'm a piece of crap. Like, I can't quit this. I don't know. When I understand that I've got this ancient brain, we all do, that is doing its very best to keep me alive, and it's making decisions that it's making based on decades and decades of my behavior and what I've done to self-soothe and how I've learned to cope. Like, we are all doing the very best that we can with the tools and resources that we have. But one of my favorite resources is the knowledge that something else is forcing my hand in these moments. It's not that you're not strong enough. It's not that you should be better. It's not any of that. It's that you are up against some biology and some mindset shifts that need to happen. And those are totally surmountable. But if you think it's just that you don't have the willpower, you are setting yourself up for disaster. So understand, at the most basic level, you're not going to make good decisions when you're tired. Understand, at the most basic level, you need to get some kind of routine and habits going that start at 5 p.m. or start at whatever time you do have willpower still. So for instance, if I get in a habit, and this is easy to do, if I get in a habit, summertime, I'm feeling good, and I start to really enjoy having a glass of wine every night. So easy for me in the summertime. But my state, and I think this is just because I'm getting older, I just don't feel good when I drink. Love a drink. But I really, even one glass of anything, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm not going to feel my best. And I don't like that. If I get in a habit of having happy hour every night, I need to do something to shake up the routine. And the easiest thing to do, you guys are going to be like, that's lame, is to just book something in my day that happens at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is the ultimate time to go in because I work in my backyard. So I'll go in the house. I'll be like, ooh, I'm going to make dinner. Let's have a little something while I make dinner. The easiest thing in the world to do, I swear to you, is all I need is one day to break my pattern. So I'll go, okay, it's Tuesday. I want to break this pattern. I'm going to do a slow cooker dinner. Seriously, I'm telling you, like, so tactical. I'm going to do slow cooker chili. Everyone in the family loves a slow cooker chili. That means I can make that earlier in the day so I'm not creating my habit of making dinner and I want to have a glass of red wine while I'm making dinner. So the chili's already there. I don't need to do anything. And at 5 o'clock, I'm going to go do a yoga class. Or at 5 o'clock, I'm going to go on a long walk. I'm going to do literally anything because I found if I could just bridge the time period where I'm normally making a choice I don't want to make, just changing what time of day it is. So let's say I come back from the walk and it's like 5:45. I don't want the bevy anymore. I only wanted it because it was part of my habit. Whenever you do still have the willpower, Mamacita, that is the perfect opportunity to build in some new habits that you enjoy. Don't force the funk. Find some stuff that you actually enjoy doing so that you are bridging that time period where you would normally make a choice you don't want to make. Also, gonna advise that when you are trying to break some habits that you don't love, take on one at a time. I think a lot of people would tell you guys like, oh, go ham, like, you know, never have a drink again, never snack again, never scroll again. Wow, that is just a lot. It's a lot. And if you don't have something really obvious to replace those habits with, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe you're not like me, but I feel like I would get to a point where I'd be so grouchy and so annoyed that I would just burn everything down. It's way easier for me to take on one bad habit at a time than try and do them all at once. Give yourself a bridge. Give yourself, sort of easy steps to get where you want to be. Understand that you are a human being, that we are constantly in training and we are constantly trying to figure out how to make better choices. And now let me just add one other thing here. When you asked the question, I thought this and I was like, ooh, that is powerful. And I'm going to say it even though I know people get so annoyed and triggered when we talk about weight or diet or any of those things. I know that the internet loves to get flustered about that, but the reality of our lives is that most of us at any given time have health journeys that we are on and we are actively trying to figure out and do better. So to just pretend that doesn't exist is so ridiculous. So I'm going to say something that I could not have understood at 20, but at 42, I really get this. And just in case you haven't had this click into place for you yet, this might blow your mind. I am willing to bet money that Mamacitas evening routine as it currently stands is keeping 5 to 10 pounds of weight on her that she does not want. I have no idea what her body looks like. It doesn't even matter what her body looks like. 5 to 10 pounds is a lot in terms of how our clothes fit, in terms of how we feel in our body. 5 to 10 pounds is legit. And that's just by changing the current habits. We're not even talking about vibrationally what happens to us if we make better choices and then all of a sudden our body aligns with the choices that we made. We're not even talking about that. That's worth a whole other conversation. Right now, let's just talk about, we have been taught that if we want our bodies to look better, it is this intense, crazy diet, exercise, take a HIIT class, like work out 22 days a week, like just these crazy things that we have been taught since we were little about what it looks like to shift and change our bodies. And that belief system that this is some hard uphill mountain climb is number one, BS, and number two, keeping a lot of people stuck because they think that to change is so freaking hard, it's not even worth taking on. Do you understand that you are doing literally one thing in your life right now, one thing, that if you stop that one thing, you would lose 5 pounds? I know. It is so dangerous to talk about weight. And like, please, if this is triggering you in any way, shut this off. Don't listen to me. For the rest of us, though, we're all just friends sitting around having coffee and chatting. One decision, if you're like, my pants are a little tight and I really just don't like, I'm not telling you to go on a diet. I'm not telling you to lose weight, but you're just like, oh, my pants are tight. I really don't like this. It's one thing. It's one thing, truly. It's don't have chocolate during the week. It's stop having your glass of wine while you're cooking dinner. It's go on a walk for an extra 15 minutes. It's like really simple things. I'm actually lowballing Mamacita when I say that it's 5 to 10 pounds. It might be more. The reason I'm mentioning this is if you need some mental motivation to figure out your evening routine, if you absolutely identify this, if you are snacking at night, bro, change that one thing. It's kind of why, oh my God, I'm going in so many directions. I'm sorry, not sorry. It's why intermittent fasting is a really powerful practice. Even if all you do is just be mindful of the importance of your body's ability to fast, meaning don't eat after you eat dinner. That simple. Just take away your evening snacking. If you are snacking every night and all of a sudden you don't snack at night anymore and you literally don't break your fast, meaning you don't have anything other than like herbal tea or water after dinner time until you eat the next day, just that one thing, you are going to be blown away. That will make that the pants are fitting better. You're looking better. You're feeling better. It's really simple decisions. It's not go climb Everest. That is a lie. Because if it's hard for you to figure out, if health and fitness are hard for you to figure out, then you're going to have to get the gym membership. Then you're going to have to buy into the service of the fitness influencer that you like. Then you're going to have to do these things. It's simpler than you think it is. How many of you aren't trying to reach for optimum health at all? Because you're like, it's too much. I'm exhausted. I'm working 3 jobs. I'm like trying to take care of these kids. I'm doing this, this, and this. The last thing that I have time for is my health. It's really not that intense. In fact, the people that you see that are that intense are people who have probably done their health and fitness for so long that they're nerding out, that it feels exciting, that it's like their experiment, they like it. I know that sounds crazy if you're not in a place where you enjoy exercise, or if you're not in a place where you enjoy sort of testing like, ooh, how do I feel when I put flaxseed in my smoothie instead of chia seeds? I know I am going on too long about a nighttime routine. I have never once devoted an entire Ask Rach episode to a single question, and we've done it today, guys. Thank you, Mamacita. You have officially asked the question I had enough opinions on to last an entire episode. But routine is the game. It is everything. It's why morning routine is the thing I have talked about probably more than anything else in the last decade. And the idea of having a routine is so fantastic because inside of that routine, there is variation. And the variation happens based on where you are in your life during this season. But if all y'all did was go, okay, what's one thing that I can adjust in my evening routine? And then I'm going to do that for 3 weeks and see if there's any difference. I'm going to not have alcohol during the week anymore. Or I'm going to not snack after dinner time. If you make that one choice and give yourself 3 weeks where you do not break that promise you made to yourself, I think you would be amazed. You would be amazed. Give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. Also, I know I said a lot of things in this episode. I went spiritual, I went biological. If something tickled your fancy and you're like, ooh, take a deep dive on that, call and leave me a voicemail. Tell me specifically what you want me to unpack. 737-400-4626. Yeah, let us know. Mamacita, I hope to goodness that something I said today you will find helpful. The biggest thing is just to take on this concept. It is not your fault that you get to the end of the day and your willpower is gone. And frankly, I don't know what you could do to ensure that you have that willpower at 8 o'clock at night. I don't believe in willpower. I believe in habit. So let's change yours and see what happens. All right, y'all. I am wrapping up this podcasting session for the day so I can go back and write this new book. I will be back soon with more conversation, but until then, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you.
The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
When living with cancer, it's important to be informed and know what to expect. But finding the right information can feel overwhelming. That's why UnderstandCancerTogether.com is here to help. We've gathered practical information and resources based on where you are in your cancer journey, so that you can focus on the important conversations and decisions of today. UnderstandCancerTogether.com, helping you navigate life with cancer, one moment at a time.
At Strayer University, we help students like you go from, is it possible, to anything is possible by offering access to up to 10 no-cost gen ed courses, so you can reach your goals affordably and fast. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. No-cost gen eds provided by Strayer University affiliate Sophia. Eligibility rules apply. Connect with us for details. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.